Hello everyone, I'm Ruth Millar and you're very welcome to the second instalment of our Digital Green Room. Those of you that tuned in last week will be familiar with our Digital Green Room. It's a bit of a behind the scenes chat and a chance for you, our audience, to get to know our performers a bit better. I'm delighted to say that in this instalment of the Green Room, I'm here with our leader, Tamás Kocsis. Hi Tamás.
Hello.
Thanks for being here and chatting to me. It's lovely to have you here. And in our last concert, you were performing the Mozart Violin Concerto, which was sublime. And that was a lovely experience for me because due to COVID, we haven't been able to watch concerts since last March. But I think I was probably one of the luckiest people in Northern Ireland because when you were performing that last week, I was sitting behind Sinead actually working on comms. So I got to watch the whole performance, which was so nice for me. I think I kind of forgot just how enjoyable the concert experience is and what we've been missing. So yeah, that was really lovely for me. And something that you said to me ahead of that performance that I found really interesting was that the reason you'd chosen to perform that second movement was because it was the one that you grew up hearing your father play. And I'm aware that you have quite a musical family and you had quite an early start to your studies and your professional career. Can you just tell me a bit about your background?
Oh, thank you for your kind words about the Mozart. That was a lot of fun, that concert, to play it. It was kind of scary because Mozart is not easy to play just for a microphone, but it was fun. Why did I play that second movement? It's not the original second movement which he wrote when he was, I think, 14 or 15. A few years later, he decided to write a new second movement to the concerto. Maybe he didn't like it himself, or one of the soloists didn't like it, but you know, for Mozart it was not a big deal. And my stepdad always played that second movement with the concerto, so I got used to it. When I actually got to the stage that I was gonna learn it and I got the music, I was like, what is this second movement? It's not the one it would. So whenever I play it, I end up playing the E major adagio.
And I believe your parents were all concert musicians, so you kind of grew up on that background of music and high-level performance.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time playing with my trains under a piano. My mom was a pianist and my dad was a violinist. My stepdad was a violinist, so I didn't really have much choice.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. And I think I read that you started your studies really early. Am I right in saying that you started at the Liszt Academy in Budapest when you were about 10 years old?
9.
9? Oh my goodness. Yeah, how was that?
It was kind of weird because I was in classes with people who were 10 years older than I was.
Yeah.
But it was a normal thing. I just had to get used to it, that I was smaller than everybody else.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience. At a young age, I was able to go to an institution or a university like the Liszt Academy. So I was very lucky.
Yeah, that's incredible. And something I read as well that I found quite interesting is that not only did you start your studies quite early, but also you started performing very early. And I think, were you about 11 when you started performing with orchestras?
Yeah, I think I was 11 when I first played Bruch Concerto. That was my first one.
That's amazing. And what sort of things were you playing at that time? I think you were playing on Hungarian radio as well.
Yeah, I had the chance to play live recitals on radio and made some recordings, and I played concertos. And it's kind of interesting because then when I was 18, I moved to Bloomington, Indiana, and I started studying in my teacher, Mr. Gingold. And by then I knew that I didn't want to be a soloist. I didn't want the life what my parents had, and Mr. Gingold kind of inspired me to become a concertmaster. He was probably one of the greatest concertmasters. He was for about 20 years in Cleveland. So
a really inspirational figure then in your life.
Oh yeah, he was a sweetie.
Yeah, that's nice actually that you had that experience of kind of like the life of the soloist and then of the orchestral leader as well. I think that you led various orchestras in your time in America, is that right?
I got my first job when I was 24 in Fort Worth, and then I went to Savannah and later to Orlando before I came here 10 years ago. 11 years ago.
Oh,
I came in 2010.
Yeah. And before you came here, I think I'm right. Now, I find this very interesting. I did not know this. I think in 2006 you were knighted. Is that right?
Yeah, I was knighted in Budapest, yeah.
That's amazing. Can you tell me a bit more about that, like how that came about and what that experience was like?
I just got a phone call and they asked me if I would accept it if I get knighthood. And it was kind of actually, I was like, what have I done? But I was sitting between a composer and a nuclear scientist, waiting for my turn, and it was just something out of this world. It's yeah, the sword and everything. So and I have a title which I should be using, but I'm not. But it's something special, and I get the newsletter, you know, every year, and what the order is doing, and they're doing a lot of good things. So
that's an incredible honor. What is your title?
Chevalier.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, that's incredible. Like, do you ever milk that? Do you, like, you know, request in first class travel, free concert tickets?
No, no. You only get a couple of things like medal that you wear around your neck.
Wow.
A couple of smaller things, but no horse, no castle. You know, no. not even a piece of land.
That's very disappointing. That's incredible, though, nonetheless. And you've done so many things and held the concert master position in so many orchestras out in America. And what was it then that drew you to Northern Ireland and to leading the Ulster Orchestra?
That's a very simple answer. My ex-wife is from England, and we have decided to move back to near England, and it was open. I took an audition, I went through trials, and I got the job 11 years ago now. Yeah.
Amazing.
I cannot say that I came for the weather from Florida, but...
Oh, yeah, and I mean the weather at the minute is particularly questionable. It's snowing one minute, sun the next. It's wild.
I keep going back to Florida and South Carolina and Georgia often, so I get my sun vitamin D.
Yeah.
When I go back, but because of COVID, I haven't been back in over a year now.
Yeah, and that's interesting you mentioned actually that you go back, because you were saying to me, and I'm noticing your talk as well, that actually while you've been here, you've set up the Low Country Chamber Music Festival in South Carolina.
Yes. You know, when you're a musician in the States, you have a chance to go to festivals in the summer. And I've done that for about 20 years. And one day I was with a couple of friends and we were like, okay, why don't we start one up ourselves? And I still call Savannah, Georgia home because I lived there for 7 years, and I didn't move from there to Orlando by choice, but because the orchestra went bankrupt. And I still have a couple of my best friends still live in the Savannah area, and that was a no-brainer to try to start something up there. And we do a lot of work with the community. We play at Boys and Girls Clubs, we play for Alzheimer's Society, so we do a lot of community work. And we have concerts on the weekends. We play in Beaufort, South Carolina, Hilton Head Island, and Savannah. And it's just basically 3 old guys getting together and having some fun playing music.
That sounds great. And if people are looking to find out a bit more about your festival, like when it might be happening next, or just what's happening with it in general, where can they find out? Like, are you online?
We have a Facebook page, but there's nothing happening at the moment. We are not going to have one this coming summer, but hopefully we are going to be back July of 2022.
Yeah. Well, other than working for the Ulster Orchestra and running your festival, I think you have lots of other hobbies and get up to lots of other things as well. You were telling me you're quite a sports fan. I think you said that you used to play ice hockey and you're quite a follower of baseball.
Yeah, I am a huge New York Yankees fan. I went to school there. After Indiana, I went to Juilliard for a couple of years, and I became a huge Yankees fan back then. Unfortunately, only one of my kids likes baseball, the other one doesn't really care about it, so I only have a almost 10-year-old who's interested.
Yeah.
The other one is interested in cello and piano at the moment. So.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. Yes, because you have 2 boys, don't you?
Yeah, I have Gus and I have Felix, and Gus is almost 10 and Felix just turned 8. Time goes by really fast.
Yeah. And I think you were saying that your mum teaches them piano, is that right?
Yeah, Felix has been playing cello for the last couple of years at least, and she went to a new school and where they make him take piano. So for the last year, my mom has been teaching him online every Sunday.
That's so nice.
So it's really cute.
And your mom, I think she's here at the minute, isn't she? She lives between Hungary and Northern Ireland, and due to COVID, it's actually worked out quite nicely that you have her here just with travel restrictions.
Yeah, she got stuck here last March, and I've been taking care of her, and it's nice to have her here instead of trying to worry about her being in Budapest.
Yeah,
it's a nice thing that she just got a place here to spend some time in Northern Ireland a couple of months before COVID hit, so it's kind of lucky.
You were telling me as well that you have a dog, and you told me something very amusing about your dog earlier, and we can laugh about this now because you're okay. But you told me that some years ago, I think you had just got your dog, and one thing led to another, and you ended up in a wheelchair.
She ran into me from behind and knocked my foot from under me, and I had a fractured ankle which needed surgery, and because I play violin, they didn't want me to go on crutches, so I ended up in a wheelchair for a couple of months. But it was kind of fun being the first one on stage at Ulster Hall instead of being the last. Yeah, because I usually come out as last to sing the orchestra, but because of the wheelchair problem, I always had to be there first.
Oh dear. And you're saying to me that you now bleep going through security at airports, is that true? Certain
places, but not every time, but sometimes it beeps.
Oh dear. So
maybe they just use the cheap stuff.
Yeah, maybe they do.
Not the titanium.
Did they not know that you've been knighted?
Obviously not.
And we can't finish our chat without talking about the programme this week. And actually something that I found quite interesting was that our conductor this week, Bobby Houlihan, is fluent in Hungarian. I had no idea.
I knew that because we worked with him quite a few times. And I think 20, 30 years ago, he was a conductor at a Hungarian orchestra for a few years. And he has this ability to pick up languages. And he speaks Hungarian like, it's real difficult. It's a very difficult language. So he's almost as good at learning Hungarian and speaking Hungarian as Japanese people.
Wow.
The funny thing about Japanese people that if they spend about a year in Hungary, they will have perfect accent, perfect Hungarian language.
Wow.
They have difficulty sometimes, learning other languages because Japanese is so different from everything else.
So different.
But there's a connection somewhere between Hungarian and Japanese that makes it easier for them.
Wow. I did not know that.
I tried Japanese and it's not easy for me, so it obviously works only one way.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I don't think I'd be very good at that either. And this week's programme, so what's the highlight for you?
Oh, highlight. Schubert's Third Symphony, probably. It's one that we don't play that often. It's a smaller orchestration, but it's a lovely piece of music, and I'm looking forward to it, playing it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's great. It sounded beautiful in rehearsal, and actually what I found really interesting was the Tabakova. I have never heard that before. It just has such an interesting sound world, and I'm aware that you have quite a big solo in that piece, and I was wondering, how do you, within that sound world, kind of find your way out to play that solo? What's that like for you?
It's a direct take out of Schubert Fantasy in C, which is for violin and piano, and you just kind of make a switch and playing all that stuff around it, and then you're just in a different world for about a minute, and then you go back to where you come from.
Wow.
It's interesting. It's a very interesting piece, so don't be scared of it just because it's contemporary. Yeah,
that's great. Well, thanks so much. It's been so lovely chatting to you. I really appreciate your time, and it's just been great hearing a bit more about you, getting to know you a bit better, and hearing what you're looking forward to in this week's programme.
Thank you so much for having me.